Thank you so much for joining me for today's video. Today's video is all about a subject matter that is extremely close to my heart and something that I'm very passionate about. And that subject is sexual assault, and in particular, support for sexual assault survivors. You see, I'm a sexual assault survivor myself, and I now help women all over the world overcome their own emotional trauma, including sexual assault. Now, what's prompted me to make this video today is a news story that I saw just a few weeks ago. And this news story highlighted the lack of support and services that are available for sexual assault survivors. And this has come down mainly to an increase in demand and a lack of funding. Now, this subject is something that is very, very, very difficult for any survivor to come forward and speak out about. There's a stigma attached to it. We feel damaged, we feel shame, and we feel worthless. We feel as though nobody's going to understand us, and there's also a very, very low conviction rate with regards to this particular crime. So why would we put ourselves through that whole process and then not have the outcome that we would want? So a lot of people are actually left living with this trauma for many years. And this is what I found in my own experience. And actually, there are many women, children, and men that are left dealing with this trauma unresolved for the rest of their lives. So in recent society, what we have seen is very prominent public figures in both America and the UK that have been brought to justice with historical sexual assault crimes. So this has given hope to many other survivors out there to come forward and speak out, which is amazing. We've also had the Me Too movement in recent years too. And this has empowered other people to come forward and speak out about those crimes that they have endured. Both of these things have been very, very positive for sexual assault survivors in giving them the confidence to come forward and finally speak out about their own experience. And in fact, people have been doing just that. According to Rape Crisis, since 2017 to 2018, in the UK, it's been reported a 9% increase in demand, which is absolutely amazing. And this is such a much needed change in our society. And even the Home Secretary at the time, Theresa May, promised that by 2020, any survivor of sexual assault would get the support and service that they need to rebuild their life. And also that no survivor will ever be turned away from help and support. This is amazing. And this all looks so promising, particularly with it all being more in the media and encouraging people to come forward. The problem is that actually isn't the case at all. In fact, it's quite the opposite, sadly. So according to Rape Crisis, as of March 2019, there are over 6,000 people waiting to see a specialist counsellor after they have experienced a sexual assault. And of those 6,000 people, 172 of those people are actually children. More than that, possibly. These survivors on the waiting list are waiting between 6 months to 2 years to see a specialist. Now, what's happening is they're going through a life-changing, traumatic event, and this traumatic event is actually being allowed to fester in them for that amount of time. That, to me, is incredibly alarming and should never, ever happen. Everybody should have the support that they need to overcome something as traumatic as that. And even the news report that I saw, it reported that a rape crisis centre in Leeds is actually now having to turn away survivors because their waiting list is full. So what was Theresa May's promise when she was Home Secretary? That nobody would be turned away. And unfortunately, this is now happening. And since she made that promise, Theresa May was Prime Minister. So this actually got me thinking a little bit more. So there's a lack of funding and there's an increase in demand. And somebody that was brought in as a prime minister wasn't able to allocate more funds, or more funds that were needed in this particular area. So what can we do to help? What is the answer? So these sexual assault survivors have already been through enough. There is absolutely no way that anybody should be waiting for that amount of time to see a specialist to help them overcome that trauma. Everybody has the right to have access to support, especially after such a traumatic event. If I didn't get the help and support that I did, I would still be affected by that rape. I would still be feeling worthless. I would still be stuck in my life. I would still be feeling as though I'm damaged and I'm no good and I'm not good enough. That's not acceptable. So if we are unable to rely on funding to be given, or more funding to be given in these very much needed areas, how can these incredible survivors get access to the help and support that they not only need, but they so richly deserve? So I think people like myself can help. I came out about the sexual assault that I endured last February, and I only told my parents about it 3 days before. And I've been living with the sexual assault for nearly 2 decades. So I'm going to record some videos, some help guides of how you can overcome and deal with and accept traumatic events such as sexual assault. I'm going to put more help and advice up on social media for people to be able to access, so that if they are on a waiting list for a little while, they can still have access and still come to terms with what has happened to them. This event, this traumatic event, is absolutely life-changing and destructive. I remember that I had to basically rebuild myself again. And why should somebody have to wait 6 months to 2 years to have to do that? Why should they have to get worse through no fault of their own before they have access to being able to get better? It's just not good enough. I'm also going to look into how I can become a campaigner in this area. What can we do? What services can be provided? I privately coach people to go through it, but I can only work with a certain amount of people. So how can that message get out there more and more? How can more people have access to more help and advice? Things need to change. And I want to help and support as many survivors as I possibly can, because we are more powerful when we empower each other. So please look out for further videos and things on social media from me, and please pass on any relevant information to anybody that you know that is affected by sexual assault, because it's down to us to empower each other.